A journey, thank you, a journey to a spiritual awakening, ego on Front Street. Robin has read all major religions of the world and has traveled to more than 40 countries in the world where these traditions are practiced. Robin is an executive director of ETA to Oneness Institute, where she supports people in their spiritual awakening. Through all of this knowledge and expertise, Robin has her own journey, tacked some really pressing questions, like, is it really possible to practice tolerance, patience, kindness, and love in a world full of violence, anger, hatred, and selfishness? So we've got quite a heavy session when I was first reading all of this, but it's going to be absolutely amazing. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pass you over to Robin.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I can assume all of you can hear me okay? All righty, that's great. Well, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. I got this little information today and I was guided to put it into a little PowerPoint. So here goes. So we'll have an interesting discussion.
That's perfect.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So the theme, I've been told, is success in our lives for 2023. And as Marie has done with Simple and Sharma has done with her name, we've given traits to what we view as what would make our lives successful in 2023. And so just a reminder, because I knew Sharma's in advance, this is what Sharma's looks like. Sensational, happy, aspirational, motivational, astonishing. I heard someone say, when Sharma says, I'm going to be that, someone says, but you already are that. And what I like to say to everyone is, for every trait that you listed, you are already that. You are already that. The issue sometimes is uncovering or unconcealing what gets in the way of you being that. So that's going to be part of our discussion for today, because we're all about success in 2023. So let's talk about this for a second. So many of us define success. You know, we've got this striving towards a goal. We execute it with our action steps. Many of us were real clear about what success looks like. And it was funny because I was having a conversation with my mom about this presentation, and I told her we're going to talk about success. And she said, I told you since you were teenagers, you must define success for yourself because society cannot do that for you. And as a matter of fact, I believe success is best applied to projects that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, not applied to people. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she would have that as her view of what success is. So maybe it got me to thinking, maybe we should redefine and reimagine what we think success should be in terms of our human achievements for this year. So that's the discussion that I'd like to bring forward. Reimagining success. Can anybody give me some idea if they had to reimagine what success looks like? Can you give me some idea of what success may be? One of the things I heard that I think is success personified is the word love. How do we live from that place, bringing more of that into our definition of success? Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to add about that they can pop into the chat about what it would look like to reimagine success? All right, Sharma, I'm going to count on you and or Marie to kind of talk me through the comments because I've got a couple of things going with the presentation here. So,
yeah, we've got contentment, fulfillment, prosperity. The greatest success is me. Successful relationships and connections and conversations.
Wow. Okay, presentation over. For everybody who's making notes, you already have what I'm getting ready to talk about. To me, I think success in 2023 has to be more about the intangibles, not the action steps you can take to get from A to B to C to D, not the action steps you take to get more revenue, more clients, more this, more that. It's the intangible things that are potentially the things that will bring you the most joy overall. So let's take a look at this. Let's look at the science. I'm a part-time science geek, for those of you who don't know. And one of the ways that we see reality, and we're trained to see reality in 3D, three-dimensional, is because we rely heavily on our intellect when making decisions. And that makes sense because, you know, as you can see here, 86 billion neurons in the brain. That's what they're used for, analysis and synthesis. However, in this new world that we're talking about living in and having success in, is more of a 5D reality, where people in 5D rely heavily on their heart to make decisions. And to the surprise of many, the heart also has neurons. How about 40,000? So it gives a level of analysis to back up some of your decisions that are made based on your feelings. I think the new world, the higher consciousness, the new elevation, the place that we need to take ourselves and our clients is into this 5D reality. It's into the heart space. It's into and away from the mechanistic way we function. We still function like we just got into the Industrial Revolution, where everything is a machine and we function ourselves as machines. But we are more than just machines. Yeah, the body is an amazing machine, but we are more than just human. We have a very divine side of ourselves that we are not engaging in a way that can maximize the outcomes that we are having in life and living. So what I am suggesting, we have the science, we know why we do what we do, but what's the philosophy to move us to this new way of seeing success? How about philosophy? I have a book that I love to read. It's called The Thunder of Silence by this guy, Joel Goldsmith. Joel was a writer, metaphysics, 1940s, 1950s, early 1960s. And these two quotes are out of his book that was written in the early 1960s. So I'm going to give a minute for you to just kind of read this. And I'm going to talk about it. Okay. So in the human scene, the way we are conditioned to operate, the mind is creative. And that is what we all do. We wake up every day, we set an agenda, we set intentions, and we create. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. But in the spiritual scene, according to this author, the mind is not a creative faculty. It's an avenue of awareness. So what does that really look like? One of the things I didn't quote here, but that the author says, the difference between having a creative mind and having a mind in the state of awareness would be the difference between having a canvas and trying to rack your brain as to what to put on it, or having a canvas and sitting in front of it in the stillness and saying to the divine, here is the canvas, paint what you will. So in that state is where we get all of these inventions. Everything, the way we're communicating right now through Zoom, it came through someone's mind. The computer that we use for the Zoom came through someone's mind. Everything, everywhere you sit, all the clothes you wear, everything, the way, all the food you eat, everything came through someone's mind. So the question becomes, how do we get into this place where we can be patient and still enough to hear what that is for us, that will take our current talents and abilities and bring forward new inventions, new discoveries, new plans, whatever is necessary. But then allow our minds to execute, not our minds to create it, but our minds to execute the information that is coming out of the divine side of ourselves. Because right now, when I talk about success in 2022, most of us default to making plans, plotting, planning, scheming, thinking, organizing, action steps. What happens to your world if you just have the end point and not all the action steps in between, and take time to tune in to your divine guidance for the optimal and maximum way to make that happen? I've been living in this space probably maybe for the last few months, and it's getting better and better. It is really amazing how much more energy you can have when you wake up without looking at a whole list of to-do. It's amazing how much more you can get done without the list in front of you ahead of time. What I do is I do what I hear, I do what's coming to me, then I pause, and then I hear something else. And I stay in perpetual motion as if I had a whole list in front of me. This is a new way of being. This is, to me, how you optimize and maximize success in 2023. So I'd like feedback in the chat now. What do you think about this concept of really the mind being an avenue of awareness, the mind being used to execute, and divine guidance being used as the seat of intelligence? I'd like some feedback on that as a concept. So Sharma or Marie, I'd like for you guys to kind of see what's coming up in the chats and give a little feedback to that. Or if someone would like to raise their hand and have a comment.
I can't raise my hand at the screen that I've got, but I was just thinking it's absolutely fascinating. You know, we say about you know, what we see success is, but like you said, that canvas, what's really touched me, here is the canvas, paint what you will. So really we are letting the universe, the Almighty, guide us to what, you know, what success should be about, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we actually giving him the power, or her the power, whatever we like to say, the power to actually show us what is right for us. And in my belief, actually, the Almighty knows even more than I do what I need and what success should be for me.
Thanks for sharing. How about you, Seamus? You had your hand up.
Yeah, I just put into text actually what I was thinking. So it reminded me of a book called from Joseph Jarowski, what you spoke to about allowing to emerge. And he spoke about the physicist David Bohm when he wrote about thinking with our whole body, our entire body, rather than just thinking analytically with our head, you know. So that's when you were speaking, that's what was really coming back strongly to me as well, is that we have all this beautiful ability within us to process information, and we usually only process from the head. But I think what you're really talking about is processing with every part of our ability to process in the broadest way possible. And I think that's what, you know, really struck me. And, you know, allowing to emerge according to the universal will is what David Bohm talked about, what Joseph Jarowski talked about. And then with that comes the clarity. So when you're allowing that to occur, then that brings clarity from that deep depth within your inner knowing, as he would have talked about it. And then from that inner knowing, we're set up with a solid foundation to act with clarity and act with authority and act from the heart, literally from the heart. So yeah, I just loved everything you've shared, you know.
Thanks for sharing, Seamus. How about you, Marie? You have something you want to add to this?
Oh, Robin, I think it's very interesting what you said about the to-do list. You know, because I would be one would have the list out and so many on the list. But I think it's very interesting to have a different concept now and just get rid of the list and just work from the inside out and see what.
Yeah, we have endpoints. I want to make that clear. We have things that we want to see happen. We have endpoints. We have outcomes. I think where we get a little twisted up is we want to have every step to that outcome. And the problem that we have as humans is that any outcome takes time. And with time comes variables that you cannot see right now. You're trying to execute a strategy that you say in 3 months, I need to X, Y, and Z. Well, 3 months from now, there will be new variables that you cannot see right now. And so what it then does is it makes you second guess what you're doing. It creates doubt, it creates frustration, it creates anxiety, it creates stress, as opposed to saying, okay, endpoint is I'd like to be more in touch with my spirit and help my clients, you know, be all that they can be. Outcome. Every day you're getting up, you're hearing something. So you may be given parts of a strategy, but you're often given something you can do in that moment that won't create stress for you because it's not done. And therein lies part of the problem. We stress ourselves out because we don't meet our own expectations. Now we are collapsing and closing off the internal guidance system because the anxiety brings our full attention to the, I call it pan-phys, to the tangible physical reality. So it's just another way of thinking through things. Yeah, you can do a list and say, this is what I want. Now let me chalk it for today and let me get still and let me see what comes. I was told to put this presentation together. That's what I say for my spirit. I was told, you should do a presentation. Okay, you do it. And I sit at the computer, I get still, and what you're looking at is what I was told to share. I've known for a month I was going to do this, but I didn't get the information until a little while ago. I'm okay with that. Because for whatever the reason, the spirit that I'm working with, the spirit of God within me, is seeing the need of the total. And then it's moving into what is required. I'm not deciding in advance what's required because I don't know. So that's what I'm saying, Marie, in terms of operating from that place.
We've had lovely, lovely comments, Robin.
Okay.
18, it says, I love it and let my inspiration guide me every day. Right. Jan, I love it. If you can reside in that space of awareness, then creativity is unlimited. Let the universe guide you.
Nice.
Finton.
All right.
Jim, I have
we got
been
it, right.
I have been mostly living with it for years, except on the off days. And
Yeah.
then we got Seamus, allowed to emerge the great clarity. Emerge and great clarity comes from the allowing that we can act upon. Solara, the mind is most powerful form of technology in existence. It's creatively intelligent with the power that to create realities. I think it's a combination of both. I had an amazing songwriting workshop with the practice. Wrote everything down and don't judge. We got Pramila, so everyone's loving it. I love this. A Course in Miracles says awareness is oneness.
Yeah, I like that. That's one of my favorite books. When you're on the path,
Yeah.
you're on the path. Okay, so we all are in agreement.
Yeah.
So the question is, or the problem, I should say, is this. The longest journey you will ever take is the one from your head to your heart. That is what my mentor, Debbie Ford, New York Times bestselling author, used to tell us all the time. The longest journey is the one that, the longest journey you will ever take is the one from your head to your heart. What does that mean? It means getting in a place where you operate, where it's not just your mind deciding every day, analyzing, synthesizing all of your action steps, but you're coming from a heart space. Because your heart, like I said from the science, your heart also has its own neurons. It's just that it doesn't get caught up in the paralysis of analysis with the 86 billion neurons. Instead, the heart says, yes, no, beep, answer. It knows. But in order to deal from the heart space, we got a different kind of problem, people. Obstacles on your journey to success, different kind of problem. Ego is a problem. Not accessing the feeling nature is a problem. You cannot talk about being in your heart if you're unwilling to feel your feelings. Let me say that again. You cannot talk about living from the heart if you are unwilling to share your feelings. So I wrote this little book, and as you can see at the top of this book, there's a lady's name on that. Her name is Sharma. And Sharma has her own comments in my book. She actually did the foreword to the book. And in her comments, she says this, literally, warning. Beware of your ego. The ego is such a small three-letter word, but it can be so powerful and ruin lives, not just yours, but those around you. I want to talk, and I want to then take you through some exercises that we can now look at in terms of how to begin to rein in our ego, to rein in our mind, to rein in our 3D reality, to pull back our own projections onto everybody else about what is right and how it needs to be and how it needs to go. And, you know, we all see life through that filter. But I'm saying, and everybody's agreeing, there's another whole way we can do this differently. So Sharma, let's go for it. Discussion time, breakout sessions are now. Let's talk about this. So to have success in 2023, we must heal our hearts in order to make room for our intuitive divine guidance to guide these action steps. We will have action steps to take. It's just that it won't be all on us, but we can't have access and trust that unless we heal our own hearts. So in order to heal our hearts, we must eliminate our own distorted default map that's running and ruining our lives. Most of us are coaches. You know what I mean by a default map. It's that part of you that was birthed in childhood. Your ego kind of arose in that wounded place. It was powerless. Something happened, but it got created to keep us safe. The problem is the ego keeps us safe by keeping us separate now. And a lot of those fundamental beliefs that we operate on that have crystallized as our personalities are now creating the conflict and chaos that we experience in personal and professional relationships. It's not a conscious thing that we are having in terms of what is creating a problem. It's not conscious. It's the way it's always been. But if you can step back and access that, then you can make some changes. And the one last thing I'll add to this discussion before we go to breakout is, if the essential essence of us is really not this physical body, but it's more like steam, that would make each of us untouchable, unassailable, invulnerable. Then what do we need to be kept safe from? I think this is an important discussion to have. We're going to do 2 breakout sessions so we can begin to look at our own lives. We want success in 2023, but we've got to look at what is blocking us individually that's not allowing us to go forward. So before we step into our breakout sessions with our next round of questions, is there any clarity or questions about what I've said so far? Okay, all right, well, here we go. Breakout session 1. We're going to look at our own individual ego formations.